Hi and welcome to another edition of Top Tip Tuesday. Hope everyone's having a great week, and I'm sure a lot of people I speak to are really looking forward to the Christmas break and having a bit of relaxation time, ready to start 2024. So I thought it was a really good point and time of year to discuss the property market in the Greater Brisbane region. What are the major banks forecasting for property prices in Greater Brisbane in 2024 and beyond? So the first thing that's going to affect things are interest rates. Good news on that front. All the major banks are forecasting interest rates to decline, go down, lower, which helps our cash flow in third quarter of 2024. So all forecasting rates to drop down and continue those rate drops into 2025. So currently the RBA cash rate is 4.35%. NAB, for example, are forecasting rates to drop down to about 3.1% by 2026. So that gradual rate over the next few years as inflation starts to reduce, that's going to encourage the RBA. So that's good news for those holding property and having mortgages, as we all do, most of us do, encouraging to see that confidence. In terms of property prices, we all know that the banks are very conservative in their forecasts. We only have to go back to this year. End of last year, 2022, most of the banks were forecasting property prices to drop this year with those higher interest rates. Surprisingly enough, the property market did drop for a period early in this year, but it's rebounded recently quite strongly and outperformed. So the bank forecasts are conservative by nature, but what they are forecasting next year are quite positive. So the NAB, for example, are forecasting property prices around Australia on average to increase by about 5% for the year. Greater Brisbane, fastest growing region in Australia, they're forecasting about 6.5% capital growth, which is very strong, and that's driven by the massive population influx that we've got going into the Greater Brisbane region. Good news for those that are holding property or looking to get into the property market. Certainly some positive news going ahead over the next few years. One of the other influencing factors is recently the Queensland government has increased the first home buyer grant from 15,000 to 30,000, so that's doubled, and that's really to help some of those struggling to get into their first home and off the rental ladder. So I think it's a good news, a positive step. What that's going to mean is it going to be even more competition for property in the Greater Brisbane region as those home buyers look to take advantage of that. I've experienced it just in the last week. I'm speaking to a lot of finance specialists, and they're all getting more inquiries from first home buyers, seeing if they can use that grant in some way. Speaking to land developers, and they've stopped selling land to investors in many cases and only taking home buyers into owner occupiers into their estate. So it's really had an effect of the confidence for those first home buyers, and again it's just going to put more pressure on property prices. So I hope that's helped in your forecast and when you're thinking about property for next year, and have a great week and see you next Tuesday.